The Atlanta Braves love to take some upside pitching in the first round of the MLB Draft, and Mississippi State has a young kid in Cijntje who I think fits that bill. This episode's MLB Draft Prep will look at Cijntje and some other standouts from the college baseball regionals and the Braves offense breaking out in Boston. Max Fried striking people out left and right. We'll discuss all that on today's episode of Locked On Braves, so let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at ShortstopBall. Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. Always enjoy hearing from you and those who just throughout the day tag me and ask me some questions. I do appreciate that. We also have a mailbag episode every Friday. You can submit your questions to that as well to be answered. If you're new and watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as well so others can find us here at Locked On Braves. If you are an audio listener, thank you so much. I'm an audio listener as well. But make sure you leave me a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. And yes, I'm recording this live during Tuesday night's game. It is currently the bottom of the 7th. The Braves up over the Red Sox, and Max Fried still out there dominating right now. It's just behind my screen, so I can't quite see it all. But 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. Max Fried right now as we begin recording. Thank you so much to Doc's Cards, Austin Perez, Clip, and Ecuadorman for joining me here. Now, we're going to get into our MLB draft prep. Got a couple of players, college players, I want to focus on. I'll get into some other standouts from the regionals that I saw. But today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 on any winning $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Well, I talked about it yesterday. We started our mock draft segment that we're going to do weekly leading up to the trade deadline. And we're also going to be doing a segment once a week looking at the MLB draft and getting you prepped for that. And my goal for this is that I'm going to throw a lot of names at you over the next month and a half here in hopes that by the time you get to the draft, you'll have a good list of names that you know and, hopefully just be more familiar. Even maybe some of the picks the Braves don't make. Hopefully you'll be familiar with some of these players. Hopefully you'll fall in love with one of these. And hopefully the Braves will take one of these names that we're going to talk about. Again, you listened a lot last year. I mentioned Hurston Waldrop's name over and over. Now, I also thought he wouldn't make it to the Braves, but he ended up doing so, and the Braves took him, and I was ecstatic, and now I'm even more ecstatic. I cannot wait to see what Hurston Waldrop can do. But this year, you look at the draft for the Braves, they only have 3 picks in the top 100, so that's not going to give them a lot of pool money to play with. They have the 24th overall pick, and then they don't pick again until 62. And then after that, they don't pick again until 99. So that is not a lot of draft capital. That's not a lot of money to spend. And this is why when we talk about the Braves potentially going over that third tax threshold, why it's so important, it wouldn't affect this year's upcoming draft. It would be next year's draft. But if they did that, and let's say the Braves, finish in a similar spot, you're talking about them getting the 34th overall pick in the draft, and then not picking till later in the 60s and close to 100 again. It becomes really tough. And maybe that doesn't mean much to you in the grand schemes of things, but I can guarantee you it means a lot to that Braves front office, because not only do you get a later pick, but it takes away a lot of that pool money that you can use. And that's maybe even more important when it comes to the MLB draft. Now, this past weekend, I watched a lot of regional action. I'm a big college baseball fan, and I was keeping my eyes on a lot of top prospects that I think the Braves could be interested in. And when I'm looking at the type of prospect that I think the Braves could draft, really over the last several years, you look at what they did with Ryan Cusick, the other kid from Wake Forest that's eluding me at the moment, Jared Schuster, Spencer Schwellenbach even. I know he wasn't necessarily a first-round guy, but they seem to target these college arms that have a lot left in the tank, that maybe their talent hasn't been fully maximized, and they feel like they can untap that. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm looking for college pitchers that, you're not going to get the frontline guys. You're not going to get Hagen Smith. You're not going to get Chase Burns from Wake Forest. You're not going to get those guys. So when you're picking at the back of the draft, you got to take some shots on some players who have some upside. And one name that I like right now that I'm really kind of starting to fall in love with is Jurrangelo Cijntje. And it looks like a tough name to say, but it's really not that hard. Cijntje, he's been really, really impressive for Mississippi State. This is a guy who was throwing right-handed and left-handed, can throw both ways, but most believe he's going to stick to right-handed, and that's what he's mostly done in 2024. 5'11", 200, so you'd like a little bit more size out of him than that, at least height-wise, and that 200 I think is probably a bit on the high side. He just turned 21 in May. He is draft eligible as a sophomore, so he's still young for this class. Ranked 31st by MLB Pipeline. That's out of all prospects, not just college prospects. Sits mid-90s, but can top out, in the upper 90s. I was impressed by his command. I watched him start this past weekend against Virginia, a game that Mississippi State lost, but I thought he pitched really well in it. He also threw well in the SEC tournament where I watched that. Unfortunately, his team let him down in that one as well. But I was impressed with what I saw against Virginia, who is a team that many people consider to be one of the best offenses in the country. He went 7 innings, gave up 7 hits, a walk, 4 earned, 5 strikeouts. Now, one thing you wouldn't know unless you watched this game like I did, that strike zone was unbelievably tight for both pitchers. And that's why you see, the low strikeout totals for Cijntje, a guy that's normally going to strike out a batter an inning. That strike zone was really tight. But the fact he only walked 1, that's why I came away impressed, because the fastball command in particular, I thought was great for Cijntje. When you got a fastball, mid-90s, upper 90s like that, and you can put it where you want to, and then you couple that with a really good slider that he has coming off of it, that's a really good profile to start with right there. So I really liked what I saw from Cijntje. Again, I think he's somebody that would be available for the Braves at that 24th pick. And I think he's somebody that still has some untapped potential. Because like I said, he's been throwing both ways. And I think if you get him to settle in as just throwing as a righty, I think there is just room for more. And that's kind of what I'm looking for in the back end of this first round, is getting a college pitcher, somebody who's already, been through a major system like Mississippi State, who's played at a high level like the SEC, and yet still has more that he can build on. And I think that's the case with Cijntje, who already has a really good fastball, has good fastball command, has a plus slider. If he can develop that changeup a little bit more, and I think you're looking at somebody who can be a really good middle of the rotation type of pitcher, and certainly somebody that I think has a safe floor as a right-handed reliever. But I do think the ceiling is that of probably a number 3 pitcher. I don't know that there is top of the rotation potential in there. But again, who knows? Because I think there is room for growth for him. In 2023, Mississippi State, he pitched 50 innings, only 44 hits, but 34 walks. He did have 63 strikeouts in those 50 innings, showing you the big strikeout stuff, but an 8.10 ERA and a 1.56 whip. And then this past season, Mississippi State, 90 2/3 innings, only 70 hits, so still not giving up a ton of hits, but only 30 walks this time, and 113 strikeouts for a 3.67 ERA and a 1.10 whip. And again, doing that at the highest level in the collegiate ranks in the SEC. So very impressed with what I saw from Cijntje. I would not be upset with that. The other player I wanted to talk about was Vance Honeycutt, 6'3", 205. He also just turned 21 in May, so he would be relatively young for the class. I've loved him since his freshman year at North Carolina, all the physical tools in the world. And how could you not love a guy who in his freshman season hit 25 home runs and stole 29 bases? Now, the flaw for Vance Honeycutt is he had nearly a 30% strikeout rate as a freshman, and he cut it down to 20% his sophomore season, but his other numbers also took a dive, 12 home runs and 19 stolen bases. Now, he did play in 14 fewer games, but then this past season, /319, 419, a 699 slug, 22 homers, 28 stolen bases, but a 27% strikeout rate. That's alarming for a college hitter. But I still look at Honeycutt, and I don't know that he makes it to the Braves. I don't know that he makes it to 24. MLB Pipeline has him ranked as the 20th best prospect. But he's somebody that I look at, if you could get him, at the 24th pick, I feel like he's somebody that has 4 tools. And if the hit tool comes, and obviously you're looking at a 5-tool potential, I feel like the floor for a Vance Honeycutt is a Brenton Doyle of the Rockies. If you're familiar with his game, he has a lot of power, speed, good defense in center field, but can strike out a lot. And I feel like that's probably what Vance Honeycutt's floor is. His ceiling, I think, is that of a Michael Harris, somebody that can maybe not hit for the average that Michael Harris generally hits to. I know he's in a bit of a rut right now, but I think that could be the ceiling for him, where he's maybe a 25-25 guy, maybe a 25-30 guy. He has Gold Glove defense in center field. So again, I don't know that he makes it to the Braves, and I don't know that they take a bat. It's not generally what they look to take, but Vance Honeycutt is somebody that has all the tools to become a potential superstar, and perhaps you could get that in the 24th pick. And again, if that hit tool comes around, everything else is already there for Vance Honeycutt. So those were two names that I wanted to mention. If you have some names from the regionals that stood out to you, or some other players that you're interested in talking about, let me know. Just quickly, some other names that I watched on the weekend. Travis Bazzana of Oregon State, a sweet left-handed swing. He almost reminds me of a left-handed Mike Trout. I'm not trying to put that comp on him, but just a very quick swing. He hit one out to dead center that was just amazing. Braves obviously aren't going to be able to draft him. Hagen Smith, big lefty, had a little bit of a rough start. In fact, another top prospect from Kansas State, Kalen Culpepper, got him for a big home run in that one that ended up ultimately knocking Arkansas out. They lost their next one, but it was just pretty much over after they lost that game to Kansas State. So those were a couple others that stood out to me. I was watching Kyle DeBarge because a lot of people telling me he's the best shortstop in this class. So I wanted to give him a look, but I'll just be honest, I wasn't impressed. I saw Andres Jimenez in Kyle DeBarge. I think he's somebody that probably goes to second base. So I wasn't overly impressed with him, but I was looking for a shortstop that maybe the Braves could target in that second round, but DeBarge just really didn't do it for me. So those are just some of the names that I watched this past weekend. Ecuadorman says, any War Eagles you like for the Braves? No, it was a rough year for Auburn. Ike Irish isn't draft eligible yet, but no, there's really nobody for Auburn. Maybe you take a chance on a Joseph Gonzalez late in the draft, somebody that just couldn't stay healthy but has good stuff. But I can't really think of anybody from Auburn who just had a terrible year that I would want the Braves taken right now. All right, next we'll get into a little bit of Tuesday's game where the Braves are still playing at the moment, but the offense breaking out. Max Fried setting record number of strikeouts. We'll get into all of that here next. Buying tickets to your next big event shouldn't be stressful, and it's not when you use Game Time. I'm telling you, and I've told you for a while now, Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. They have killer last-minute deals even. I'm always checking them if we're going to events in my area, or especially if I'm going to a Braves game. Last several Braves games I've been to, I've only used the Game Time app because it's just so easy. I don't know why you wouldn't want to when it gives you all-in prices up front. You don't have to guess at what you're going to pay at the checkout counter. It tells you all that up front. It gives you the view from your seat right there. And they also have their Game Time guarantee, which means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. That's Locked On. So I put MLB on there so they know that I sent you. Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. You like listening to sports all day while you work? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the nonsense you hear on some of the other networks. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channel app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Just catch up on what's happening this week at Locked On Braves. We had our Minors Monday segment already, talking about Hurston Waldrop and him being on the doorstep of getting to the big league level. Yesterday, we went through some mock trades, looking at Randy Rosarena, Cedric Mullins, and others. Today, we're doing our MLB draft prep. Tomorrow, I'll take you through the league, and then on Friday, we'll have our mailbag episode. So again, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Braves. Hit that little notification bell as well. It'll send you a notification whenever we go live or whenever I post a new episode. All right, let's get into some of the takeaways from Tuesday's game. Me and Grant will break this down more later on tonight, but Again, right now it's going into the top of the ninth. The Braves are up 7-3. The offense looking really good in this one, obviously, with the 7 runs. They got some help early for a couple of errors, but hey, you know what? You put the ball in play, sometimes good things are going to happen. And that's what the Braves did in that second inning when they were able to take an early lead. And then they were able to tie it up later. Jarred Kelenic coming through with a double. He has been really good since Ronald Acuna Jr. has gone down. And we talked about it, the fact that guys were going to have opportunities to step up here. I think Kelenic has. I don't know that Duvall necessarily has at this point, but either way, Jarred Kelenic has certainly been taking advantage of this time that he has since Ronald, again, has hit the shelf, early in June, but 3 for 7 with a couple of doubles already. And again, even at the end of May there, he had a couple of, he had got a hit in 3 straight games in the last 3 games of May. So he's on a 6-game hit streak at the moment, had a 3-hit game back on May 26th. So he's been really good as of late. That's great to see for him. And he was able to score the tying run there. And then later, Braves had 2 on, no outs. Matt Olson doesn't come through. Hate to see that. But then Ozzie does come through. And Ozzie's been struggling here a lot as of late. And certainly, love to see that because he's been struggling. So if Ozzie can get going. But one thing, I just love about this offense is, Matt Olson doesn't come through there. That's, okay. He's been swinging the bat better a lot here lately. But then Ozzie follows him up and picks him up and gets the big hit there. And love seeing that again, get those runners on, get that 3-run homer. It's what's been missing a lot for this Braves team. So to see him be able to come through there in that spot, certainly love to see that for Ozzie Albies. But obviously the story of the night and what me and Grant will be talking about a lot on the postcast is Max Fried. I mean, just another brilliant performance from Max Fried. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 3 runs, 2 earned. I feel like another one of those shouldn't be earned. I feel like both of those runs that he gave up when they tied the game should be unearned coming after that catcher's interference. Either way, 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 3 runs, 2 earned, and 13 strikeouts for Max Fried. You're not used to seeing that with Max Fried. Now, I said coming in, I believe the Red Sox were second or third, because something if they were second and third, but they were second or third in the league in strikeouts. And that has proven, to be the case tonight with Max Fried has been able to do. But 21 whiffs for Max Fried on the night. You do not see Max Fried put up 20-plus whiff outings. That's just not who he is. But just an incredible night for him. Had everything going. I mean, he threw every pitch at least 10 times. All 6 pitches that he threw tonight, threw him at least 10 times. How do you deal with that as a hitter? Just truly incredible. A 40% called strike plus whip percentage. I always say, anything over 30 is really good. Anything 40 or higher is elite. And so this was an elite outing for Max Fried. I know he gave up a couple of runs in that inning, but again, some of those coming after the catcher's interference on a little bloop hit by Bobby Dahlbeck, one coming on a home run from Dominic Smith that just got over the wall. That was a bit frustrating there, but on the whole, Max Fried, just another incredible outing for him. And now the question, I think, for many Braves fans is, how much do you pay him and when do you pay him? I mean, the guy looks like one of the best pitchers in college baseball, in Major League Baseball. I'm sure he'd be the best pitcher in college baseball. How much do you give him? What is your number to Max Fried right now? Is there a number that you can give him? Has that ship sailed? That's something we'll obviously be talking about a lot as the year goes on. I've been of the mind that you have to wait until the season's over at this point. If they don't want to go into that third tax threshold, if they don't care, go ahead and back up the Brinks truck, because he is showing that he can still be an elite pitcher. Injury is the only thing that concerns me, and that's obviously a big concern with starting pitchers, but just the way that he gets it done and the fact that he has 6 pitches and the fact that he can command 6 pitches when he's on. Some nights he's not going to have the slider. Some nights he's not going to have the changeup. Most nights he's going to have at least the fastball and curveball. But the fact that he has that many pitches, can command them whenever he wants to, basically. And again, if one pitch isn't working that night, then he just goes to another one. He's going to be able to continue to be a good pitcher as long as he stays healthy. And that's just the question. And it's the question for a lot of pitchers. Can they stay healthy? Can you give them 11 years, 235 million, as Ecuadorman says, which that's way too many years. But, can you give them 6 years? Can you give them 7 years? Do you feel comfortable with that? Or do you take the Zach Wheeler approach, which Wheeler's a little bit older? Do you give him a 3-4 year deal at, a high AAV, a 30 million plus? What do you feel more comfortable doing? Either way, I think the Braves, they got to get ready to unload some money because Max Fried has certainly earned it with the way that he has pitched this year. But he's been fantastic. With the Braves offense also, had a good night. You love to see it in a game where they took an early lead. Red Sox came back. They took the lead. The Braves came right back, tied it, and then took the lead back and then extended it. That's what you want to see from this offense. I love to see that in this game. I mentioned Ozzie Albies got 2 hits. The big 3-run home run. Michael Harris, not looking great at the top of that order. Still struggling to find a leadoff man. Austin Riley's still struggling to come back. And those are your 1-2 hitters. So I feel like something needs to change here at the top of the order. There's not any great options right now to swing at the top of the order for the Braves. But certainly Michael Harris, just for whatever reason, he just doesn't have it right now. It feels like it's a ground ball to second base just about every time up. He looks frustrated out there. Riley is just struggling to get the timing down. Sean Murphy feels like he's still struggling to get the pitch recognition down at this point too. Again, I'm not trying to harp too hard on those guys that have been out for a while. And I'm trying to be positive because it was a good night from the offense, but there definitely are still some concerns there. But you'll take a 7-run effort, a couple of home runs in this one, like I said, at least in that second inning, putting the ball in play and making the Red Sox make a play, which Dominic Smith did not, and it leads to a couple of runs. So I'll certainly take this effort from the offense. Again, we'll break down more of this game on the postcast with me and Grant McCauley coming up here after the game officially ends, as we are in the top of the 9th right now. Did want to report Sean Murphy exited this game after getting hit by a pitch in his wrist forearm. It appeared, hopefully, and nothing too bad there. Hate it for Sean Murphy. This is, he misses more time. It's almost getting to the point where it feels like it's somewhat of a lost season for Sean Murphy. Again, we're not quite there yet. We're only 2 months into the season. And again, not reporting that it's anything major here, but hate to hear that for a guy that's already missed 2 months. Now he's getting hit by a pitch and having to leave the game. Again, hopefully it's nothing serious there for Sean Murphy. Want to get him going. I was big as anybody on Sean Murphy coming into this season. I felt like he was going to have a major year, but, right off the bat, getting hurt on opening day and then just really struggling, as he's coming back. Feels like he's in between trying to recognize pitches, and now he gets hit on the wrist. So, again, hopefully nothing major there. We'll probably have more for you on the postcast once we hear from Snitker and they get more information after the game, but did want to report that really quickly. We do have some news of the day as the Braves made a major league signing, Brian Anderson. We'll talk about him next and where he could fit in to the Braves plans. And also Spencer Schwellenbach gets his second big league start. We'll discuss that here next. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's just a winning $5 bet, and you get $150 to use on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. And you look at the Stanley Cup Finals right now, the Panthers are the favorite in the first game happening on Saturday at minus 1.5. In the NBA, the Celtics are big favorites at a 6.5-point favorite as that tips off on Thursday night. And the Celtics are the favorite to win it all at minus 225. Again, you can see all that over on FanDuel.com/locked-on. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on. Also, make sure you visit FanDuel.com/play-safe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way you play. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. We have a little bit of news from the day. The Braves signed Brian Anderson to a major league contract, and played for the Marlins, so you should be pretty familiar with Brian Anderson, guy that's had some good years in Miami, but at this point in his career, I don't I get the value in signing somebody like Brian Anderson because he can play, several different positions. I don't know what you're going to get with the bat, and he's a reverse split guy. So, I saw some people saying that maybe he'll be, platoon in the outfield with Kelenic, which please just let Kelenic play every day. He's playing well. Let the kid play at this point. But if that's what you were thinking, Brian Anderson has reverse splits. He's been better against right-handers in his career. He's a right-handed batter, a 757 OPS against right-handed pitching, and a 687 OPS versus left-handed pitchers in his career. He has a strong arm, so that can definitely play in one of the corner outfield spots, but not the best range in the world. He's a solid, if not better than solid defender at third base. Again, I get it because of the versatility. I don't know that I necessarily love this signing all that much. In the end, he's probably going to get dropped in a month or two, if not before that. But, again, it's just more depth on the team. I jokingly posted on X, Forrest Wall is just has to be screaming into the clouds right now. Why don't you like me? Because he just still can't get a chance. And look, Brian Anderson's probably not going to play a lot. And so I understand not wanting to bring up Forrest Wall if he's not going to play. But if Adam Duvall, continues to struggle like he has, and look, I like Adam Duvall. I think he's a great guy off the bench. I think he's a great guy to fill in if you need to with an injury like you have right now. But I don't love Adam Duvall as an everyday player. He's going to come with plenty of ups and downs. He's going to have stretches like he had not too long ago where he's going to hit some home runs for you. And then he's going to have some stretches like he's on now where he has 3 hits in his last 6 games. So, it just is what it is with Adam Duvall. It's not a terrible option for a fill-in, but I don't know. I feel for Forrest Wall. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And I want to see if he gets a chance. The other part of this is, as Ecuadorman points out, is Matic done for the year, in your opinion? He moves to the 60-day injured list, and that was maybe more of the surprise of this move is that Matic moved to the 60-day IL. It doesn't sound great. Doesn't sound great for a guy who's had, coming back from an injury like Tyler Matic, hasn't pitched in a while, clearly didn't look like his old self, his 2021 self. You hope that's not the case. You hope it's nothing major. They didn't really announce anything with that, anything further than what we already knew with him being out. But, can't be good. You're moving from the 15-day injured list to the 60-day. Means you're going to be out for at least a couple of months. So hate to hear that for Tyler Matic. Hopefully it's just, taking more time to rest up, kind of get back. I said at the beginning coming in, I said, I'm more concerned with what Tyler Matic looks like at the end of the year. And didn't look great early on. I still don't think it's good he's going on the 60-day injured list, but hopefully he rests, heals up, whatever it is, that's causing him to miss so much time, and hopefully he comes back strong at the end. But it certainly doesn't look great for Tyler Matic right now. Getting into Wednesday's preview, you have Spencer Schwellenbach making his second big league start against Nick Pivetta. Schwellenbach, we talked about it last time, 23 years old, not a lot of innings under his belt. He threw 65 innings last year. He's already at 50 this year, so I don't know how much run he's going to get. Fastball, slider, changeup, curveball. Fastball, as you saw, averaged out in mid-90s last time. He has a good fastball, really good, breaking pitch that he has. I was really impressed with what I saw with him last time. I think the key for Schwellenbach, and the reason that he'll stick up here if he does, is that just he has good command. He doesn't really walk anybody. He throws a lot of strikes, and he has good movement on those pitches. So he has the ability to throw those pitches for strikes because you feel like he's going to get some weak contact. So if he continues to do that, doesn't walk a lot of batters, we've seen tonight this Red Sox team can strike out a lot. It's, not a great offense by any means. So I want to see, again, that fifth spot in the rotation. Can you give me 5 innings? Can you give me 3 earned or less? That's what I'm looking for there. And hopefully Schwellenbach can do that on Wednesday against the Red Sox and continue to, show that he should be here. And again, I don't know how long that's going to be because he doesn't have a huge innings load at the major league level or any level for that matter, as he was a relief pitcher in college. But as long as the Braves can trot him out there and as long as he continues to throw strikes and get outs, he's going to be able to have a chance. The Braves are up 8-3 now. It's the bottom of the 9th. 1 on, nobody out, but Jesse Chavez is in the game, so hopefully that means good things. As for Nick Pivetta on the other side Wednesday, big strikeout stuff. Sweeper and curveball are nearly unhittable. Batters are hitting under 150 against both of those pitches this year, and they both have big whiff rates, so that could be a problem for a Braves team that still striking out a little too much for my liking. They had 6 strikeouts on the day on Tuesday, so that is a little bit better. But Pivetta, again, has big strikeout stuff, a 5.55 ERA in May, but just a 1.15 whip. He gave up 7 home runs, but 3 of those came against the Braves back in Atlanta when he first came off the injured list. He's only completed 6 innings once in May, and he hasn't gone more than 6 innings all year, so might not be around too long in the game on Wednesday. Hopefully this Braves offense can get to him again with more home runs, and hopefully the Braves can hang on to this one. Again, it's 8-3 in the 9th inning here. We'll have more for you on the postcast and Locked On Sports Atlanta and on your Locked On Braves podcast feed, so be looking out for that. But that will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Thanks so much for joining me here live. Jeffrey Humphreys made it. You always make it there, Jeffrey. Thanks for getting in here. Alan Daniel, Protect PR, Ecuadorman, making it all the way to the end. Thank you so much for that. Make sure you follow us on social media at shortstopball, at LockedOn_Braves, where you can send in any questions or comments. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're new, hit that thumbs up button and make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast. And we will talk to you next time.